And next to her is my buddy Michael Mando, who plays Voss in Far Cry 3. I can feel his intensity from here. And so basically what we're going to do is...
I mapped my face.
That's what I was going to ask Michael.
That was pretty freaky too.
What do you think about all this? Like Voss is basically, he's you, right? It's like, it looks exactly, I mean, look at this, Voss. Stop looking at me like that, man. I know the friggin' definition of insanity.
I just told Eliza I'd want to hear him say the line, the Batman line.
Which one?
Why are you trying to kill me?
Why are you trying to kill me? I promised him I'd say that. But what do you think, man? Like when you see yourself as a video game character, does anything jump out differently as opposed to film?
I don't think it's hit me yet, but there was a radio journalist who took a picture by the Voss poster, and that was a bit freaky. Yeah. That's when it hit me, and I just felt really shy to just stand next to it. But I don't know. It's overwhelming. I think mostly it's the reactions of you guys that's really really humbling. To see you guys love the character, and I think that's where the great pleasure comes from.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's really, speaking of like just performance capture, what's great about it is, and I worked with Michael on the Far Cry demo. Remember that way back then?
Sorry?
Remember when we did the demo for Far Cry back then? Before you became all popular.
Repeat the question?
Are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Stop being so intense. No, remember when we did the demo for Far Cry? Like, the great thing about it was, Michael, we were doing full performance capture, and he's a very intense actor and translates in the character, but like this guy's right in my face. He's grabbing my neck. I remember I had cuts and you were spitting on me. It was great. But the thing is, you can't do that. You can't do that in a sound booth, and you can't match it if you do it in a sound booth and then try to match that intensity on the day later. Do you agree? Do you like that better?
When I started doing Far Cry 3, they had the first time they brought me in to start doing Voss, they had, the way they were doing it is that they would glue dots. I don't know if you guys ever do that before.
Yeah.
They would glue about 64 dots on your face. So they have these little tiny things. They would take them with like the pluckers, tweezers.
Yeah.
And they would put them with glue on your face, and then they would put you in a suit, and they'll put you in a room. And the problem is that you start sweating in that room. Yeah. And every time you sweat, you'd have a little dot that would drop.
So basically, a piece of your face falls off.
Yeah, and they would yell cut, and they'd have to find it on the floor, glue it back on your face, and then you have to restart the scene. And that was it was very tedious. It was very difficult. Because we would shoot the masters in the major room with all the other actors. You guys know what a master is, right? And then we would go in and do like the facial close-ups in another room with like an hour worth of...
And we'd have to match our own bodies.
Right, so they would play it back on a thing, and you have to match it. And I think when I did the definition of insanity monologue, I think it was probably maybe the first time that they tested the
helmet camera.
The helmet camera. And when we first started with the helmet camera, they had a very long wire. So when you would move, you had someone who had to follow you around holding the wire. And now they have them wireless because we were doing some blocking and the wires got tangled.
Oh, I thought it was me. It's okay. That's my wife's ringtone, so she couldn't be calling me.
The challenge in that.
I really worked on, I think Far Cry 3 is the one that, I haven't done a lot of voice stuff. I think I just did the motion capture. But I think the difficulty in Far Cry 3 is that from the moment I started working until the moment we wrapped, I worked with 7 different directors. Yeah. And it's intense because they bring someone to the project that doesn't know anything about what we've done before. And they always try to push your character into a new direction. Yeah. And you got to really fight to explain to them that that's not the character that you've been working on for so long. And that's really a challenge. It can get very aggravating when someone new comes along and tries to do something with your character that is counter to what you've been working on for so long. That's the major, I think, with Far Cry 3. I think that was...
It wasn't Sean White's skateboard that we all did together? Remember how difficult that was?
We worked
I can be admitting that.
I never saw it. I never...
No, you never saw it?
No.
It was fun.
I heard it was bad.
Oh, it was fun. We were
Was
good.
it, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you say we were good?
We were good. Average? Yeah. What do you think, Michael?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? No, I think if anybody wants to go into acting, I think I started acting when I was sort of mid-20s. And I think theater is a very, very good place to start because you learn a lot of classical text, which really helps. And you learn a lot of text analysis. You learn how to break a script down. You learn how to work on your a character's arc, which was some of the stuff that Elias was talking about with Jensen, when he was saying that he was trying to find the arc, or what even Neil was saying sort of intuitively about trying to find the age and the voice of the character. But also what it does is you learn a lot about blocking, which a lot of film actors don't learn as detailed.
It's movement. I don't know if everybody knows what blocking.
Blocking is like, for example, if we have a scene at one point, and if you watch theater, if people are just sitting down and talking the whole time, it gets a little boring because you don't have close-ups. So the director will do what he'll do is he'll have the actors move to emphasize certain changements in the scene and to emphasize the tension, to dissipate the tension, and so forth. And it's really helpful for video games because there's some games like Far Cry 3 where it's a first-person shooter. There's no cuts. Right? So if someone has a monologue or a scene, they have to block the scene. And I find theater comes in very, very handy in that.
I actually...
You get cast, I think. If the director's smart, he knows that he can trust you. And you get...
Michael, I think, has a different experience.
With your 8 directors in one day.
I just love the, if he's smart.
If he's a good director.
I love those little comments.
Yeah, thanks.
If he's a smart director.
Or the writers. Actually,
He lets me do
there's,
what I want.
there's a writer here, one of the writers from Splinter Cell. You can wave if you want. And Naveed, and he's great because every time if I have a line change or something that I think works better, he's very collaborative. So it all depends on the writer and the director and things like that. But for the most part, I think you're trusted once you get cast that you can do what's best for the character.
Yeah, I think also because it's new for video games to get sort of actors who are working in film and television to start doing motion capture. For a long time, they didn't really have directors, like trained, seasoned directors who were directing us. So they were very interested in knowing what our opinion was. When I started working on Far Cry, we didn't really have a director. So I had complete freedom to improvise. And then as the game started progressing, Ubisoft started going into the mentality that they're going to get really known film and television actors to come and direct games. And I think because we've had certain rapport with the company, the directors were giving us a little more leeway than they probably would have in a film and television. We even had the writers at times. I don't know if you guys ever had that before. We were doing scenes and we had the writers with us and we would improvise and the writers would change the lines around what we improvised. So the freedom is really big.
It's all to make the game better.
You know what it is too? When you're doing film and television, it takes about sometimes hours to do a lighting setup. And then it takes hours to set up the camera.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of, you don't have the opportunity to really just do whatever you want because then they'd have to change like 2 hours worth of lighting configuration. The great thing about video games is that we don't have a lighting setup and we don't have a camera setup because we're in a room like this with
Pretty much exactly like this.
Yeah, with about this like that,
Exactly
with
like this.
hundreds of cameras around us on every angle, and they can come in from pick the little pore in your skin, and they can be in a master. So I think this is a great advantage that we have as actors is that we have more freedom because it costs less time. It doesn't cost anything to change the blocking. They don't have to move the furniture. They don't have to move.
Just some tape on the floor.
Yeah,
Just some tape on the floor. Yeah. Sorry, Neil, you had to.
I would do a couple.
Beat that.
I can't do that.
Can you repeat the question?
Please repeat the question. No, I think I haven't played a lot of video games, and doing Far Cry has really opened up my eyes to it. And I'm really blown away by the quality of the images, the storytelling, the music that they're using. And I just saw for the first time at the Ubisoft booth, they had this thing that Jay was doing, like the dancing, what's it called?
Just Dance.
Just Dance, and it's like I was going to say the F word.
Yes, there's no swearing in video games.
No, but this machine can like capture your body movement and then project it back to the screen. And I was just thinking, like with look at the images that you're holding, the Assassin's Creed image. Like, look how nice that looks with the writing that they're doing. And if they can incorporate the game, like the person playing the game inside the video game.
Yeah, that's coming for sure.
It's coming, and I'm just thinking like it's gonna be like Star Trek.
Yeah, like the holodeck.
Yeah, no, really, because now you're moving and it's.
Well, have you experienced that yet? The last time I went in to work on AC3, we set up, and it wasn't the point cloud, but it was my character on the screen
Yeah, we've
in
done
real
that.
time.
Yeah, I've
You know,
seen
it's like,
that. It's amazing.
It's
Like,
amazing.
It's
Yeah.
the experience that gamers are gonna have. It's just gonna be. I think that we have like video game consoles and movies, and then I think soon we're gonna have a dimension where you can have like probably. I've heard people talking about having scents, like they blow scent, like while you're playing a game, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
Like let's say you're in the forest, the console is gonna bring out the scent of like pine trees, you know. And then think about it, and then if you can move.
That's really good news for parents with kids in their basements.
Yeah. But think about it, like where is it going? Where is it going to? You know, they're trying to like really. It's gonna be really. You're gonna be really integrated into the
It's
product.
true. One thing I feel is very blessed that we're in on this kind of like, we're in on the bottom, the first floor.
Yeah,
you know
and
what I
it's
mean?
moving so fast.
It's going so
It's
fast.
moving so like the technology from the 2 years ago to now isn't the same.
yeah. Imagine what the Pentagon has.